So, Chris, what I want to, well, actually, what I want to say, and I don't know how much you've researched into this actual topic, but so I was reading, I saw that Kathy Wood, she's saying that China is, growth in China is slowing down, it's declining, and she didn't have much faith in China, but I did see that she did pick up some Li Auto some Xpeng the other day. I know you've covered them before. We're not really going to talk about them today. How do you view that? She's buying a competitor to NIO. How does that make you feel? I mean, do you have anything you can say?
She has a fund to run, and she has to do due diligence and provide best execution for her clients. But I only invest for myself, so I don't.
Right.
I'm not a fund manager. I don't answer to anyone, and I make my own decisions. But I do manage a fund for my 14-year-old nephew, and in his fund, I would have to put all bias aside and cover the names up and get the best stock for the best value. Right. Now we are NIO long fans. A lot of us are. So we do have a little bias, but we all manage our personal portfolios. But if you're a fiduciary and you have to execute trades in the best interest of a client, then you cannot be, let any kind of internal bias play into it. But as far as Kathy Wood on the economic growth, now it could be the macroeconomic, view could be slowing, but you can have pockets of growth in the EV industry where I think they want the growth to be. So she could be telling the truth, and she could have the best value in mind with Xpeng. I believe all three will succeed in the market over there.
And Chris, the second point that I wanted to make is, I wanted to speak about Ray Dalio. Now, Ray Dalio seems to be fascinated with China. He seems to be saying the opposite of what Kathy Wood says, and normally it seems that that's how it goes, not just, when it comes to Chinese companies. But Ray Dalio, I mean, he's putting quite a bit of money in his China funds. I mean, it's in the billions of dollars. I want to say, and don't quote me on this, guys, but if my memory serves me correctly, I want to say about $3 billion that he raised for his Chinese fund, which is pretty, incredible that he's doing it at this time. It's incredible, but it's not. Now, Chris, and why I have him over here, he's going to talk a little bit about the delisting risks that are involved with investing in Chinese companies. Specifically, we are going to be talking about NIO, though. Now, Chris, one thing that I do want to make sure that our audience understands is that if these, well, first of all, we have about 3 years before any of these companies would even be delisted. But the second, supposedly, yeah, because it could,
anything can happen.
Mm-hmm, it could be accelerated, and that's kind of what we've been seeing with the delisting of Didi and everything. Now there's rumors about Alibaba going to get delisted. But the thing is, Chris,
I've even heard Didi just voluntarily just said, "Hey,
right,
we're not going to comply, so we out."
And ultimately, the Chinese government wants these companies to delist because it's helping out their Hong Kong exchange. It's kind of how I'm looking at it. But what I wanted to say, Chris, is that when these companies delist off of the New York Stock Exchange or off of one of these bigger exchanges that we have here in the U.S., it doesn't necessarily mean that you lose all of your money. It doesn't mean that your stock goes to zero. Your stock still has some value in it, and the stock will more than likely go to an OTC, over-the-counter exchange. So it's not like you're really taking a loss on those positions.
It'll be liquidity. I mean, you pay a premium for liquidity. When you can move in and out, people like to know they can get in and out. But when you get a bid-ask spread, it increases as the liquidity dry up. Say it's trading at 40 and you want to get out, well, you may only be able to get out at 34.
Right.
But on the New York Stock Exchange, you could get out at 40 or maybe
right.
39.50. So those are some of the issues. I will just say personally, since I invest for myself and I don't, have any NIO in a fund that I manage for someone else, I would not be comfortable with that personally. But that's one of the things that you look at. And I covered NIO top to bottom in February, and that was one of the things we went through on my channel was understanding the risk, knowing, say, okay, we have a lot of geopolitical risk. And I actually did a video today. I need to get that out where I discussed that and was like, okay, let's go back and review on page so-and-so of 576 at this paragraph. And at this paragraph, they said that. Of course, on my channel, we've already covered this, but I wanted to, reintroduce it to let people remember, like, okay, we've prepared for this. We've created value and parameters that surrounds this stock price to reflect that. And they do have nasty formulas that I won't put on your channel, but they do have ways to account for that. So I am all in. If they do delist, I mean, there'll be some liquidity concerns. People will leave it as more people flee. Their bid-ask spreads will, increase, and a lot of funds have mandated where they can't participate in it. We have large funds. I think the third largest fund I alluded to on the video today, where the third largest pension in the United States increased more than double their position in NIO when the price dropped. So those kind of things will kind of, be a negative impact. But other than that, I see them as a Chinese company to where they're in a position where they want them to win. It's kind of like GM with the United States. Everyone knows the U.S. will not let them fail. If they act right, they'll stay in business. Even if they don't sell vehicles, the government will bail them out. So the same thing with NIO, and it's a matter of national security to keep your industry going. So I don't see China letting the EV industry fail. So I agree with Ray Dalio, and I also agree with Kathy Wood. Maybe the macro Chinese, economy is going to slow down. It will need to slow down. I won't get too deep into the economics of it, but they will need to cool off before, some bad things will happen. But I just don't see it happening on a micro level in the EV industry.
Okay, well, thank you for sharing that, Chris. Is there anything specific you said in the video that I know you haven't dropped it yet, but the Ticker family always comes first. You're gonna hear it here first before you even hear it on his channel.
I mean, everyone. The biggest thing I get, the question I get is, what's going on? Why is everybody scared? Well, I kind of got the Warren Buffett quote. Everyone knows I'm a big fan of his, where it says, "Hey, when everyone gets scared, it's time to get greedy."
Right.
And all of the big funds, the pension funds, or institutional investors are coming in and scooping up shares, and that's when I really act. But as far as like these craze, MOAS type stuff, I mean, I'm always late to those parties, and I don't really, buy into it. But when everybody runs from a stock and it goes on sale, and you know what I always say on your channel, Pat, the stock market is the only thing that can go on sale, and people run out the store.
Right. Yeah.
So that's when obviously I'm running in, and I'm trying to capitalize on some of these people who contributing to this falling stock price. But everything else, they're just going to have to go watch the video, or, almost 40, 50 videos on NIO.
Yeah.
I love NIO. We've covered them top to bottom. So the good thing about covering them top to bottom one really good time, is that everything else is just cumulative after that. You can build, and you don't have to reinvent the wheel. It's the same thing with my football. Were you talking about football today?
We will, but I'm going to turn it into a separate video.
Yeah, so the deal with those guys is that every company I cover, and I'm up to like 6 or 7 now, is I can just go and touch base with them, because we've already got a real solid foundation about fundamentally how it operates, and now we can just touch base with current events.
Right. So is there anything else you want to say about NIO? Can we get your latest price target on NIO, or where you see?
I still got the same price target from back in February when I covered them, because nothing has happened outside of that price target. I mean, we have some geopolitical risk, but we discussed that a year ago. I mean, so it's nothing new under the sun. If something new under the sun happens, I'll update it. But right now, it's just still, I won't say spot on. It's still current.
And it's like $40-something.
Yes, I mean, and the $40 came out when they were trading above 60.
Right.
And so they were, $20 outside of where they fundamentally are, and now they're $20 below where they fundamentally are. And I don't get too excited when it was overvalued. I'm not going to get too excited when it's undervalued. I'm just going to stay even keel and true to my guns. And you'll notice as the longer you stay in the stock market, you'll say, you know what? It wasn't the stock market this whole time. It was me.
Right. Yeah.
It was me. It was in my conscience. I broke or I flinched. I blinked. The stock market only did what stock markets do. They go up and down.
Exactly. Well, guys, I hope you all enjoyed this video. You've got Chris's current price target, which
and it's on my page.
And it's on his page too.
They can go watch that, and also I give analyst price targets from 2 or 3 different sources. So it's mine and what everybody else thinks that that really do it for a living.